Members, officers and members of the public that be watching this live stream on YouTube channel. For those people that don't know who I am, I'm Councillor Chris Harbron. I'm the current chairman of Craven District Council. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's meeting. This meeting, as I've mentioned, is being live streamed on the YouTube channel, and we'll be keeping a copy for future playback. One or two housekeeping rules now, if possible. All members that wish to speak, could you indicate and then patiently wait your turn. And please don't talk over each other. Thank you very much. And also remember to turn the microphone on, and likewise, when you finish speaking, turn it back off again. Thank you. Now, can I ask the Democratic Services Manager to take a roll call of all members present this evening? Thank you. Guy.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harbron. So I'll do a quick roll call. If you just indicate that you're present at the meeting, I'll be most grateful. Starting with Councillor Barrett.
Present.
Councillor Brockbank.
Present.
Councillor Brown.
I'm here.
Councillor Foster.
Yeah.
I've received notification that Councillor Handley has given his apologies, or he may be late to the meeting. Councillor Harbron.
Yes, present.
Councillor Heseltine.
Present, sir.
Councillor Hull.
Present.
Councillor Ireton.
Present.
Councillor Jackwin. Right, we'll perhaps come back to Councillor Jackwin. Doesn't appear to be at the meeting at the moment. Councillor Liz. Okay, Councillor Madeley. Oh, I saw Councillor Madeley. Councillor Mercer has given his apology.
Yeah.
Councillor,
Yeah.
Councillor,
Sorry.
Councillor Thank you, Councillor Madeley.
Sorry.
Councillor Metcalfe.
Present.
Councillor Morby.
Present.
Councillor Morell.
Present.
Councillor Mulligan.
Present.
Councillor Myers.
Present.
Councillor Noland.
Present.
Councillor Place.
Here.
Councillor Pringle.
Present.
Councillor Rose.
Present.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
Present.
Councillor Soloway. Not as yet. Councillor Staveley.
Present.
Councillor Sutcliffe.
Present.
Councillor Welsh.
Present.
Councillor Wheeler.
Present.
Councillor Whitaker.
Present.
And I'll just go back. Councillor Jackwin. I can see in the list of participants you're there. Councillor Jackwin, if you are able to unmute yourself, if you could let it be known to the meeting that you're present, I'd be most grateful for that. Thank you. And Councillor Liz, one last check. Can't see him on the list of participants. I think that's everything for now, Councillor Harbron. Thank you.
Okay, Guy, thank you very much indeed. Item number one in that case then. Apologies for absence, Guy.
Yeah, so received apologies for absence from Councillor Mercer and also Councillor Handley. He may be late to the meeting, or he may have to give his apologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number two, can we confirm the council minutes meeting of the 5th of August? Are we able to say that there's a true record?
I'll propose those, Chairman.
I'll second it. Members, are we all in favour? I think that's across the board. Thank you very much, Guy. Or do you want a recording of that, or are you all right, Guy?
I think for the minutes, that's absolutely fine. I think it was general approval there. I think that's all that's required for the minutes. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
I've got one matter arriving, Councillor Harbron, if I could make it.
Sorry, Councillor Brown?
I've got one matter arising, if I may.
Yep, fire away, please, no problem.
Just on CL 1178, I want to thank Councillor Foster and Annette Morfitt for the response about the use of consultants in the legal department. Very helpful information and very comprehensive, very useful. Could I ask just when we might see the same from the planning department, and could I ask that the minute for that request is carried forward to the next meeting? Because I realise you can't do it tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, item number 3, public participation. Have we got any, Guy?
We haven't got any members of the public in attendance this evening, Chairman.
Right, okay, thank you very much. In that case, I will move on. Right. Item number 4. Declarations of interest. Do we have any? Anybody?
None, Chairman.
What is indicating to speak? I will nicely move on to my first real item of business then. Item number 5, recommendations for confirmation. We have minutes of policy committee for confirmation. Once these minutes have been moved and seconded, I will ask members if they wish to debate each minute in turn. And if there's no debate, we will move on to the vote on that particular minute. Councillor Foster, can you please move the recommendations of the policy committee on the 11th of August, please?
Move both those minutes, Chair.
Thank you very much.
I'll second them, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Myers. Nobody seems to be indicating to speak. In that case, we'll move to the vote. All members, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I think for the recommendations for confirmation, as they are items for decision, I'll need to take another roll call for each of the items, if that's okay. So, same as the attendance, when I call your name out, if you could indicate whether you're for, against, or wish to abstain, I'd be most grateful. Councillor Barrett.
For.
Councillor Brockbank.
For.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Foster.
For.
Councillor Harbrun.
For.
Councillor Heseltine.
I take them to their home and wait for the parents to come home.
Councillor Heseltine. I'll come back to you, Councillor Heseltine. Councillor Hull.
For.
Councillor Ireton.
Councillor Heseltine's for.
Thank you, Councillor Heseltine. Councillor Ireton.
For.
Councillor Jackwin. I think we're still struggling with Councillor Jackwin's connection. Councillor Madeley.
For.
Councillor Mercer. Yeah, Councillor Mercer's given his apologies. Councillor Metcalfe.
For.
Councillor Morby.
For.
Councillor Morell.
For.
Councillor Mulligan.
For.
Councillor Myers.
For.
Councillor Noland.
For.
Councillor Place.
For.
Councillor Pringle.
For.
Councillor Rose.
For.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
For.
Councillor Soloway. No Councillor Soloway. Councillor Staveley.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Sutcliffe.
For.
Councillor Welsh.
For.
Councillor Wheeler.
For.
And Councillor Whitaker.
For.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's carried.
Guy, are you happy that we took those on block, or do you want to go through POL 1075 separately?
We'll have to do them separately, I'm afraid, Councillor Harbour. Apologies for that.
Right, in that case, members, does anybody wish to debate POL 1075? capital programme outturn, sorry. No. Right, Guy. Over to you. Members? Right, Guy, there's nobody wanting to indicating to speak.
Guy, you're muted.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Right. If members, if you could indicate whether you wish to vote for, against, or abstain, and we'll start with Councillor Barrett,
For.
Councillor Brockbank,
For.
Councillor Brown.
Abstain because of the size of the slippage.
Okay. Councillor Foster,
For.
Councillor Harbron,
For.
Councillor Heseltine,
For.
Councillor Hull,
For.
Councillor Ireton,
For.
Councillor Liz, Councillor Madeley,
For.
Councillor Metcalfe,
For.
Councillor Morby,
For.
Councillor Morell,
For.
Councillor Mulligan,
For.
Councillor Myers,
For.
Councillor Noland,
Abstain.
Councillor Place,
For.
Councillor Pringle,
For.
Councillor Rose,
For.
Councillor Shuttleworth,
For.
Councillor Staveley,
For.
Councillor Sutcliffe,
For.
Councillor Welsh,
For.
Councillor Wheeler,
Abstain.
and Councillor Whitaker.
For.
Thank you very much. So there were 3 abstentions. Otherwise, that's carried.
Thank you very much, Guy. Right, that moves us on to item number 6, annual review of the Constitution. The report of the Solicitor of the Council and the Monitor Officer is attached. Councillor Metcalfe, do you wish to move in the recommendations contained in the report?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Basically, that not proposing any amendment, and the Constitution has been updated to include council decisions in 2019, 2020, and the decisions are listed in paragraph 3.4 of the report.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have a seconder, members?
Second.
I'll
that,
second it.
Chairman.
Okay, fantastic. Does anybody wish to debate the report? Nobody's indicating to speak. Okay, I'll move on to the vote then. Yeah, are we doing a count of hands, or are we doing a...
No, I mean, the the changes have already been brought before members before. So I think for this item, so just general approval from the members, unless they wish to make any amendments. I'm happy for members just to give sort of general support, and we can move on to the next item.
Right, all those in favour then, members?
Agree.
Hands there.
Robert at Skipton's for.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you, Councillor Heseltine.
Right, item number 7, statement of the Leader of the Council. Councillor Foster, do you wish to make a statement?
I suppose a bit hard. We'll start with COVID. Craven's figures have been high. I think at the peak we got to 175 out of 100,000. I think we've got to be careful with our figures that they sort of times by 1.75 apparently, sort of roughly. So for every case we get, you multiply it up. The reason behind that is obviously our population is below 100,000, so therefore there's got to be a bit of mass applied to them. That said, over a seven day period, we had 80 cases. you know, even at the 165. So it's not been good. It is improving over the last few days on the 7-day average. We're down below 100 now, but we've got to be vigilant with this. It could easily go. We've seen it in other areas. Early on, I would have said sort of education settings, but it does appear to be coming out of education settings into the wider population. So I think we just need to keep our public mindful. If we're seeing anything, you know, let the officers know. If you hear of a case that maybe hasn't been reported, or you're not sure whether it's been reported or not, we need to know this. So it's just a case of we've just got to keep reminding the public every opportunity we get to do, you know, stay apart, wash hands, cover your face, and let's see where we go with it. But we'll keep you up to date if we look like we're going anywhere other than tier 1. At the moment, I would say we're a bit away. I would say at 165 we were getting very close to maybe altering into tier 2. So fingers crossed those figures keep coming down, and we'll, you know, keep you in control over those. Secondly, our local government reform. The letter has arrived from the minister. We weren't sure whether it was going to come. There was rumours it was. There was rumours it wasn't. It appeared. I think, did we get it last Thursday? The letter went out around members Friday morning. You know, there's no point holding back. It's here. Let you all know. What we're proposing now is the 3rd of November, we're going to have an extraordinary general meeting. That's to look at the KPMG report that we've paid for as a district and see if we want to send that down to London. You know, if Craven District Council wants to be part of that and send that down to London. So we'll make sure that comes out a bit in good time. It's just on its final tweaks now, so we'll make sure members have good sight of that. I mean, feel free to ask any questions before it comes out. It is the basics. The government want the basics up by the 9th of November, and then the full submission or a more detailed submission by the 10th of November. So we'll be looking to work that up and work that through. That work's going on, even though we haven't fully signed off the KPMG report, or it hasn't, because we can't sign it off until obviously we've got member approval. Still need to be doing. Oh, sorry, the letter arrived at 5:10 on Friday afternoon. I've just seen from Paul Shevlin. So just so you know, we did get straight out to members as quickly as possible that it was there. So it's a case of please try and leave that date free in your diaries. Properly read through the submission. The county submission sort of out there at the moment. Whether that's going to alter before it goes down, we don't know. But we've had the briefing on that. We've had the briefing on where we're at with the East-West one. And it's a case of, do we want that to go down? So we'll leave it up to members on that one. And then moving on from that, planning, the peer review. We've had initial feedback. We haven't got the final report yet, so don't panic. But initial feedback is not good. We've plenty of work to do with planning. But one of the early things that they've come up with is that we don't really have a member lead on planning, and that's both spatial planning, planning enforcement, and you know, the development side. That there's nothing sort of leading into the leadership team at the council as such. So we're looking at ways already that we can get around that and make sure that it is part of sort of like the leadership team and leads in with officers and brings all the officers from all sides of that department together. It was sort of like a clear one straight out the blocks that we weren't doing that, and we really ought to be doing that. And the sooner we're doing that, the better, especially when we're going to get a lot of recommendations coming back from the peer review. We need somebody to make sure that those get driven through the planning department. So watch this space for that. It might even get added to, I'm guessing it'd be a council thing, so we might even add it to the part of the EGM to get somebody in place so that, you know, those recommendations can be driven forward. On that note, those are the three things I really wanted to update you on tonight, but happy to take questions on those or whatever else you've got in mind.
Thank you very much, Richard. Members, does anybody wish to ask Councillor Foster a question on his report? No?
Councillor Harbord, I think Councillor Welsh.
Oh, yes, sorry, Councillor Welsh.
Councillor Brown as well. So Councillor Welsh, then Councillor Brown. I think Councillor Harbord.
Thank you,
Councillor
Chairman.
Welsh.
Thank you, Chairman. This morning I sat on the National Park Authority listening to a mandatory compulsory planning training session from somebody at King's Chambers or one thing or another. I find it absolutely fascinating. Despite the years I've sat on planning committees, we always learn and learning all the time. And I just wondered if we could put it through officers and possibly the chair of the planning committee. Could we have a similar training session with CDC? I think a lot of members could actually learn a lot from it. And I would just like to pass that on. If we could have the same thing, it would be quite helpful for current members of the planning committee and substitutes, if that would be possible, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Welsh. Now I've got Councillor Brown and I've now got Councillor Brockbank wishing to speak. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just a question about what Councillor Foster makes of the letter from the Minister suggesting that it's up to us whether we have a mayor or not. I mean, I just genuinely didn't know what people made of that, and I'd be interested in your comment.
If you want to answer Councillor Welsh, and I'll do Councillor Brown. I sat through that compulsory planning training, and I think something very similar would go down really well at Craven. It was very informative and it was really interesting to listen to, Councillor Welsh. I do agree. Whether we could ask the National Parks, at least if you could share the slides from it, because those were particularly good, I thought, prior to having that training ourselves. Councillor Brown, we've always had the option of whether we went down a mayoral route and devolution. The idea is that there's a big pot of cash at the end of that. So that was the reason. I think that was a big reason for us, looking at that in the first place. It's not compulsory. I don't think it's ever been compulsory that an area goes for a mayor, but without it, you don't get to say, in theory, that they're getting in Manchester, Liverpool at the moment. We don't have those overriding figures that can draw in those funds. Whether that's the same under this government, it's sort of been suggested that it is, but yet again, it varies as to whether that letter was getting sent and when it was getting sent. So you hear one thing from one person and a very different thing from another. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. I've got Councillor Brockbank and then I've got Councillor Sutcliffe. Councillor Brockbank.
Thank you, Chairman. It's really just to answer Welsh's query about training on planning. Every planning member of the committee has to have mandatory training before they can vote on the planning committee. There is annual refresher training, and I have reminded Mr. Watson, the planning manager, that we are due to have our planning refresher training very soon. However, I would be interested in the proposal from Councillor Welsh about the training that they received. I'd like to see that, and perhaps it's something that we could add to our refresher training. I don't know if Guy Close has got anything he wants to say, because I think it's Guy who organises the training, or Democratic Services who organise the training, but obviously I have to go through Neville Watson.
Yeah, just through you, Chairman, if that's all right. Yeah, we do usually provide some training. In the past, we've had Bob Pritchard, who's attended, who's a planning consultant and also works as a monitoring officer at some various authorities. He's delivered the training before. We have the annual refresher training from Neville Watson and his team, but there is the option also to provide some additional training as well for members. So perhaps after this meeting on another occasion, Councillor Brockbank, we can have a discussion about the type of training that we can deliver.
Thank you very much, Guy. Councillor Sutcliffe, and then I've got Councillor Myers.
Yes, Chairman, I would support the comments of Councillor Welsh, but the only thing I would ask is, in view of the problems in planning that the leader referred to in his presentation, I would request that the training should be carried out by an outside consultant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Myers.
Yeah, it seems to me, Leader, that we perhaps missed a bit of a trick here, because training for planning isn't district specific. And if the National Park are having a training session, why don't we simply agree with them to join it? We don't need, faced with the unitary authority, it's time we woke up. We don't need 7 different districts to be planning committees. We ought to be able to share resources on them.
Councillor Myers.
Just on that, National Parks planning training varies due to the nature of the National Park and the planning within it. This one was specific, could have gone across any planning authority. I'm not sure how we coordinate that. Some can be more the environment and the environmental side of it, if you know what I mean, in the sense of working within a national park. So, but this wasn't, so it could easily have been given to our members, I would have thought, at the same time. But yeah, how we get that link up, I'm not sure. Can look at it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. I think it might be time that we moved on now. In the absence of anybody wanting to speak, so I'll move on to item number 8. Statements from lead members and chairmen of committees. Does any lead member wish to make a statement? Councillor Myers.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a brief one. Members will have seen the press release relating to the award of £66,099 as part of the Cultural Recovery Fund, which has been awarded to the Town Hall. It will help us with putting in appropriate COVID-19 safety infrastructure for when we reopen the Town Hall next spring, and it will also help to fund an e-commerce function, which will help to diversify our income. Very welcome. It will be very helpful in getting the Town Hall open and operational and there to serve our residents. So we're grateful for that. We're very grateful to Danielle Daglan for her work on this. I know David Smurthwaite. Thank you to Danielle for this. It's very helpful.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mulligan.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a very brief update about the finances. At the beginning of the financial year, we were, as COVID, took hold, we were very concerned about our loss of revenue, etc. And we were, worst case scenario, we were talking about losing maybe several £million. Now, after the first quarter, we've seen that position change. We have had support from the government for lost income, for lost fees and charges. And we are now looking at a loss of something in the range of £800,000. That is still a very serious number for us, but it's nothing like what could have been. So at this point, I would say the finances are stable. We're still entering a period of significant risk, as the leader mentioned. We're seeing a significant rise in COVID cases, more than we've had in the first wave, and what the effects of that will be if we start having more restrictions is unknown. But we will be relying on more government support if that does happen. But given the worst case scenarios we were looking at before, at the end of the first quarter, when we reported this to policy, we're in a stable situation. We will be having another report to policy next week, and this is changing day to day, as everyone knows. So we're no way are we out of the woods by any means. We might just be entering the woods. But if we're talking about sort of moment to moment, I'm describing it as a stable situation just now. Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Does any member wish to ask a question on anything that you've heard up to present on those statements? Okay, I'll move on then to part B of the Chairman of the Select Committee. Do you wish to make a statement, Councillor Staveley?
Yes, just briefly, following the meeting on the 9th of September Select Committee, where we had our biannual report on, sorry, I was just going to say, up on my screen here, my second screen, about absence management. I think an interesting takeaway from that is two things. Firstly, that the Oasis Counselling Service that is provided by the council for staff has proved consistently to be a very effective tool in helping members of staff, which obviously at a time like this, when a lot of people are feeling the mental stress as well as the physical stress of the COVID crisis, I think it comes into its own. So that's something that I think does deserve recognition for the council as something that we do very well in terms of looking after our staff in that respect. The other item, and it's not necessarily borne out just yet by the figures, although it is starting to be, is the fact that we are running at quite low staffing levels in the office. I think the figure mentioned was 20 to 30% occupancy of the offices, as more and more staff are working from home and coming in on, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days. And the effect that that's had on absenteeism, as our staff are managing to work from home, when no doubt some members of staff are feeling under the weather, not necessarily with COVID-19, but general aches and pains, should we say, but they are still able to work from home. So it's an interesting plus point in these dark days that there are some positives. As I say, credit to the staff that do that. Obviously, they're entitled to sort of take a day off if they're ill, but if they manage to drag themselves onto the sofa or into their home office and put a shift in, it's much appreciated. So I think that was something that was quite interesting that came out of that meeting. Moving on for the crime and disorder, following our meeting in January, where we'd sort of sent several questions away to Highways, and we were struggling for an answer, as you may recall from our presentation with North Yorkshire about devolution. I did raise the point, and we have had an answer now, surprisingly enough. So that has been circulated to members of the Select Committee, and we will be picking that up with one of our future meetings and discussing just how satisfied or dissatisfied we are with the answers we got. But needless to say, rest assured, we did get an answer in the end. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Staveley. Does any member wish to ask a question on the statement? Okay, I've got Councillor Myers wishing to speak. Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, just briefly, the licensing committee have set in place a programme of work to look at caravan and holiday site licensing throughout Craig. Many members across the patch have encountered problems with this, and it seems we have a lack of. It's partly to do with the way it's structured, but it seems to me that it should. The licensing will adopt best practice. There's quite a bit of work to do, but it's something that is worthy of our attention. It's something residents, as you will have all seen. So we're on with it. We've started the ball rolling. All volunteers will be grateful, welcomed to help with this body of work.
Thank you very much, Councillor Myers. Does any member wish to ask Councillor Myers a question on what you've just heard? Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just struggling here. Oh, here we go. Sorry about this.
if it helps, Councillor Harbour, and I think we, Councillor Hull and then Councillor Brockbank have indicated.
All right,
they
okay,
wish to
Councillor
speak.
Hull and then Councillor Brockbank, yes. Thank you. Councillor Hull.
Well, thank you, Chair, but I was going to suggest that under the feedback from the Audit and Governance Committee, you might like me to handle item 12 on the agenda, which is a late report.
Thank you. Councillor Brockbank.
Thank you, Chair. Just firstly, before I move on to Chair of Planning, to say to Councillor Myers that I'm very pleased to hear that they are looking at the caravan licensing. It has caused us some concern in planning applications recently and in the past, and we're very much pleased to hear that you're doing that. As Chair of Planning, I just want to thank all members of the public, the officers and councillors who took part in the peer review and for their input. We look forward to seeing the report and to the recommendations and carrying out those recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry about this. I'm having complete computer. I'm going to have to go back to the. I'm going to have to go away from the script, members, and go on to the agenda, I'm afraid.
If it helps, Chairman, the only other item to be considered under agenda item 8 is council representatives on outside bodies. So I don't know if you want to invite anyone wishing to speak on council representatives on outside bodies, and then after that we're ready to move on to the next item.
Excellent. Well, I've got Councillor Hull indicating to speak. Councillor Hull.
I'm suggesting that I take under the Audit and Governance Committee agenda item 12, which I believe is a late circulated paper relating to the appointment of the independent member of the Audit Committee. Would that be appropriate, or do you want to wait till we get to item 12?
Guy, can I have some input there, please?
I mean, you can do that, Councillor Harbour. I would just double check first of all, because we're still on agenda item 8, whether there's anyone that wishes to speak under section D, which is council representatives on outside bodies. If there isn't anyone who's wishing to speak on that item, the next item would actually be item 9, general question and statement time. So I think we just need to clarify whether there's anyone wanting to speak under council representatives on outside bodies first.
Right. Members, anybody wishing to speak on outside bodies? Right, in that case, we'll move on to the next item, which is what, Guy?
Okay, so the next item is agenda item 9. That's the general question and statement time. Okay. Just for your information, Councillor Harbour, we have received notification of a question. That's from Councillor Brown to the Leader of the Council. So I don't know if you, at this stage, whether you wish to invite Councillor Brown to submit his question.
Yes, absolutely, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just a concern I had that I wanted to ask the leader about. On 25th of June 2020, there was a settlement of $10,900 million paid out to people who'd suffered cancer after exposure to glyphosate. And I just wanted to ask the leader really whether any of our staff were using glyphosate, which is commonly sold under a trade name of Roundup, but is also sold under other trade names, whether any of our staff are spraying with that, which might expose us, well, firstly, most importantly, might expose them to health risks. Secondly, might expose us to claims given the scale of that award payout. And thirdly, I've got environmental concerns of a major order about the use of glyphosate and don't think we should be using it anyway. But I just wondered if we could Does it really give me an assurance that we'll check out on the use of that and find out whether we're using it and try and prevent it happening?
Thank you very much.
Would you like me to reply, Councillor Harbour?
Yes, please, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Chair. Right, I've got a reply here from Paul Ellis. As part of the grounds maintenance contract to spray herbicide containing glycophosphate to control broadleaf and grass weeds. Craven District Council staff do not undertake this function though. The grounds maintenance contractor ensures the application of the substance is undertaken by City and Guilds land-based service qualified personnel. This is a cautious assessment in place for the grounds maintenance operatives to undertake this, which includes the personal protective equipment that should be worn, how it should be used, and the control measures in place. So we are using it, but we aren't using it, if that makes sense. But we are making sure that the person who is using it is properly PPE'd up. I do get your point of men not using it and trying to find alternatives. I'm not sure what alternatives are out there for this at the current time, but I suppose we can look at it and talk through with our ground maintenance contractor as to whether there are alternatives that may be less damaging aid to the people and be to the planet.
I'd be very grateful if we could go down that route. And I think in terms of claims, it's the fact that they're a subcontractor wouldn't protect us, in my understanding of the law, if we knowingly continue to use something where there's been a large payout. I'll just repeat that number: $10,900 million was paid out in June to settle cancer cases. So it's not a small issue.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brown. Guy, does that move us on to the next item on the agenda?
It does, Chairman. The next item is item number 10, which is any other items. So the only other items of business is the late item, which is the item that Councillor Hull referred to, which is the reappointment of the independent member of Audit and Governance Committee. So that's to be considered under agenda item 12. Okay. The next item is agenda item 11, which is date and time of next meeting.
Okay, I understand that we're going to pencil in a meeting for the 3rd of November. Would that be correct?
That is correct, and I'll send out details to all members about that with further information. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, no problem at all. Right, item number 12 then, members. Independent audit.
Right, thank you, Chair. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to see the late circulated agenda item 12, which I'm very pleased to formally propose the reappointment of Mr. Greg Robinson as the independent member on the Audit and Governance Committee. I'd take this opportunity to thank Greg for all his professional, authoritative and respected contributions to date. As chair of the Audit Committee, I'm very pleased that he has agreed to continue for a further 3-year term. Do we have a seconder?
Second that, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yep, I've got Councillor Place wishing to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. I was about to second the motion for the reappointment of Greg Robinson. Could I add, though, been a marvellous asset to committee and is deserved of all our thanks. That's it, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Is that agreed?
That's been proposed and seconded. No, there's no members indicating to speak, so we go to the vote then?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. I'll just call out your name. If you could indicate whether you're for, against, or you wish to abstain, and the appointment of Councillor of Greg Robinson for a further term of office, 3 years. So, Councillor Barrett.
For.
Councillor Brockbank.
For.
Councillor Brown.
Very much for.
Councillor Foster.
For.
Councillor Harbrun.
For.
Councillor Heseltine.
For.
Councillor Hull.
For.
Councillor Ireton.
For.
Councillor Jackwin.
For.
Councillor Madeley. Okay, come back to Councillor Madeley. Councillor Metcalfe.
For.
Councillor Morby.
For.
Councillor Morell.
For.
Councillor Mulligan.
For.
Councillor Myers.
For.
Councillor Noland.
For.
Councillor Place.
For.
Councillor Pringle.
Definitely for.
Councillor Rose.
For.
Councillor Shuttleworth.
For.
Councillor Soloway.
Very much for.
Councillor Staveley.
For.
Councillor Sutcliffe.
For.
Councillor Welsh.
For.
Councillor Wheeler.
For.
Councillor Whitaker.
For.
Chairman, could I just apologise for lateness? I've been here a wee while now, but I should have announced my arrival when I came. I'm for the recommendation, Mr. Close. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Liz. Right, thank you. That's unanimous, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much, Guy. Thank you. I'm back up and running again now. That's typical, isn't it? So that's the last item of business. So I will declare the meeting closed.